nyamiri, koko nyamiri, nyamiri, koko nyamiri, nyamiri, koko nyamiri, nyamiri, ibole, ibole, Igbo bunu ndamamihe, ibole, ibole, Igbo bunu ndamamihe. Ebulianyelu, 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 ebulianyelu. Anamabara na ihe dị njọ ma na-emezi konye ofeke. Anamabara nụ n'ihe dị njọ ma na-emezi konye ofeke. Igbo bụ n'ndike, ụmụ Igbo bụ n'ndike. Igbo bụ n'ndike, ụmụ Igbo bụ n'ndike. Koko nyamini, nyamini, koko nyamini, nyamini, koko nyamini, nyamini, koko nyamini, nyamini. Hey, cha 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 cha. Igbo kwazon, yeah. Igbo kwazonu, yeah. Ihe ji mara ndị ihe bụ ọrụ aka ha. Ihe ji mara ndị ihe bụ ihe aka ha. Ihe ji mara ndị ihe bụ ọrụ aka ha. Ndị anyị were omenala dowe n'azụ, were omenala ndị ọzọ bulie elu. Ndị anyị were omenala Igbo dowe n'azụ, were omenala ndị ọzọ bulie elu. Ihe anyị na-eme Chineke na ọ dịrọzi mma. Ihe anyị na-eme Chineke ọ dịrọ mma. Ihe anyị na-eme Chineke na ọ dịrọzi mma. Chei, ụmụ Igbole. Anya si na Chineke anwụnugo nuo, ewere Chineke dobe n'akwụkwọ, a na-agọzi akwụkwọ. Anyị si na Chineke na anwụnugo nuo, ewere Chineke. Dewo, good morning to you all. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am Dibias, and I'm your host for Chiism Live. It is my honor to welcome you all once more to our show, learning a platform for understanding and being just who we are, as we are designed by Chineke to be Chi, na aka Chi, the male essence of the Creator, aka the female, the feminine energy. Thank you all for being here. I would like to offer you something to drink if you were in my space at this moment. I would like to offer you kola nut. Came into our ubase, our place of spiritual worship. We would offer you okwanzu chalk in a charger once in our space. But since you are in our internet space, so to speak, we spiritually offer you all these things to let you know that you are welcome and we love you and we care about you. Chineke, we ask that you are seen, heard, and recognized, and that everything that you do today turns into gold. It is what I wished for myself. It's what I wish for my family, and certainly what I wish for you, wherever you are. Do not look backwards today. Look forward. Just look up and look forward, because this is what's destined for you. That's what you're supposed to do, to move yourself forward. Look up and look forward. Don't worry about what people did yesterday or what you did yesterday. You have been renewed. You're given an opportunity to get it right. You're inhaling and you're exhaling. And all you can do right now is start stepping forward. Don't step backwards. Now and then we may have to go backwards to see where we've been. Yes, that's a given. But you know what? If you want to move forward, though, You've got to face forward and look up. Keep your chin up. Doesn't matter what anybody says about you. You design your day. You know, nobody else can celebrate this day but you, not in the way that you're supposed to celebrate it. So listen not to those who say no to you, but listen to that inner spirit, that inner voice within you today saying, move on, you've got this, and you do. You may be struggling today, may be difficult, you may have just want to give up. It's okay, because that's what happens when life happens to you. You just don't know how to handle it. But here's the thing. That's a lie that you don't know how to handle it, because you do. Just remember, this is not whatever you're going through today. It's not the only you've been through, but somehow you went through it before you survived it. You survived it. So that means this too shall pass. Just believe in it. Just know, okay, it's a little rough patch I'm going through right now, you know, but you're going to have to learn how to be quick on your feet. Go over it. The obstacles, because you can. Because you can. You've done it before, and I expect that you can do it again. All things are possible before the Creator. Everything that you, as long as you walking with Chiism. You know, some of us just don't understand what it means to be living. You just got to learn. Walk the walk and talk the talk. I am walking with my Creator. You don't have, you know, see, when you're walking with Chineke, you don't really have time. And that's the truth. You really don't have the time to do anything but work with the Spirit. Walk with Spirit. Ike Chineke. Ike Chineke. You all the time. And just to tell people, like, you know, now and then I get these calls from individuals who, woe is me, Dr. Simre, what do you want me to do? How can I handle this? I said, but you're already handling it. Just the fact that you picked up the phone and you want to solve the problem, that means you've started the journey of healing. You've already started it. And you can do it today and tomorrow. You've done it already. Keep doing it. This is a special month, the month of Nkporo. It's a special month, which is November the 19th through December the 16th. And after this, the 7th, we're going to go into the noble month of Ekuroche. In the meantime, this is Nkporo, and the importance of this month cannot be overstated. In African culture, it is the time that we clear the land for cropping, for building of barns and silos where we're going to plant new things. But metaphysically, it is a time for you to clear your mind, to unclog your mind of past experiences that are not going to do you any good. You know, it is a time not to waste your mind. You know, don't ferment, don't water anything that doesn't belong in your mind. Prepare for good things, for new information. What we're here to do, we're going to share some new information with you. The Dibias are going to be here to share some new information. Now, there's some things that we share, you may not like, and that's okay. But there are lots of things that we share that if you add it to your repertoire, you are enriched by it. See, you can never have too much knowledge, particularly when we're talking about knowledge about self, knowledge about who we are. Everybody else is doing it. There's nothing unique about us wanting to have knowledge of self. If you were born in the month of Nkporo, know that you are good at building things. And what is that? What are some of the things you can build? I'm not talking about building a house. That would be good. I'm not talking about building something with your hands. I'm also talking about building. I mean, those are all parts of it. But what's important, you can build yourself into what you want to be. You can will yourself into what you want to be. You can look at yourself and say, I'm not happy where I am. I can do better. The month of Nkporo is that reminder. Build yourself up. You're a builder. Build yourself up. Don't worry. Talk about that. It's an imperative. I have to caution myself. And proverb, we say, if you have that in your mind, you understand that what was born yesterday may not be what will be born tomorrow. Tomorrow is pregnant with new opportunities, new new opportunities for you to rebuild, to recast who you are. So the month of Nkpocha, start your rebuilding. And you ask yourself, what have I done to the up to the month of December? What have I done? And I'm gonna tell you very honestly, if you can't count 10 things that you have achieved this month, this year thus far, if you can't count 10 things that are different from what you did last year, you know, you're wasting the year. And so in this month of Nkpocha, remind yourself for all those things that maybe you planned you were going to do last year and you didn't do. Remember, the end of the year is coming. You know, don't waste your time saying, just acknowledge and do it so that you can now start the process of building. That is what you're supposed to do in the month of assessment. Look at what you have not done and start thinking about what you can do this upcoming year, starting from today. The thing about life is it starts right now, right where you are. That's where life starts. So start. You know, some of the little things you should know about from Nkpocha, if you're not doing it already, start doing it. I'm saying it's not too late. It's not, as long as you're breathing, and nothing is ever too late. You're supposed to be kind to your family and your friends. When I say kind to your family, you know, do whatever it is you can to make them happy. But don't wrap yourself with people who, just because they're family, bring you stress. You have to let some stress go. And letting stress go does not necessarily mean you hate those people. It just means that they don't mean anything anymore in your life. They don't bring any joy in your life. But give them their space. Let them move on as you move on. And who knows, someday you may reconsider. You may reconnect. But until then, free yourself this month of Nkpocha beginning of stress. Be assertive and courageous. And most importantly, in this month, you're supposed to be trustworthy. This is not the time to be mealy-mouthed. You know, what do I mean by that? You know, say what you mean and mean what you say. Atajilono. Atajikwalono, not in the month of Nkpocha. Nkpocha, it means, you know, this is the month of rebuilding, you know, getting to be moving, climbing that mountaintop. Get out of the valley. There are too many people in the valley. You want to climb up, be different. Climb up. In the month of Nkpocha, you're climbing, you're building. Look to anyone, and oh, incidentally, this month is metaphysically, the energy this month is feminine. The K is working overtime this month. So if you notice that you find yourself a little bit kinder and more loving and more patient, if you just notice there's a nurturing aspect of your being that's coming up this month, is because it's feminine energy this month. So tap into it. We all could use that femininity, that kindness, that love, that nurturing. This is the month for it because this is the energy that we have. Let me tell you, for those of you who are looking for mates, now I'm not saying that you need to ignore everybody else, but just kind of curiosity, ask them, well, where were you born? Those people who were born in the month of Anyanwu, June the 2nd through June the 29th, may be your perfect mates. Doesn't mean that everybody else doesn't matter. I'm just saying, you know, check it out, find out. My husband was born in the month of Anyanwu. Doesn't mean he's perfect, no, but he's certainly a gentleman, he's quite kind. And that just, so I can look at all, but I can also look at all the strengths. Okay, and the other thing in the month of Nkpocha that we're supposed to do is ancestors. This month is special, and you know, gossip is a bad thing. I don't have to tell you that. Don't hang around. You just want to fill your ear with gossip. In the month of Nkpocha, remember we said you are up. This is a time to build, and sometimes these gossip mongers bring you down. Check yourself. I check myself too. You know, there's nothing more tempting, you know, than gossip. Because what gossip does, it takes you away from your reality and puts you somewhere that you don't have to take responsibility for anything. Those people who just want to fill years with gossip, they don't want to take responsibility for anything. So they just want to fill it in your ears, and then you are there and you're attentive and you buy into it, you soak it all in. It's not good, not in the month of Nkporo, not any time period. But in this particular month, this is what our ancestors will have us do. Don't gossip. Avoid those people. And if you're tempted to do any criminal act, don't do it. Don't hang around criminal types. Misery likes company. People who are criminal, they want you to join them because, if something happens, they want to go down with them. So avoid such people. Do you know who's criminal? I don't know. But just look out. Be careful who you associate with. Be careful. And then the other thing is, in the month of Nkporo, don't be rebellious unnecessarily. Don't just be, I'm a woman, I'm this, that, and the other. It's not necessary. You can communicate who you are, what you want, in a nice and quiet and sensible way, but not rebelliously. So if you want something or someone to support this month, child welfare is very important this month. Very well. It's in the cards, it's in the stars in the month of Nkporo. Look out for children. Many children are being abused all over the world, not being cared for. Whatever you can do, even if it's a phone call to some child somewhere, anything that you can do to support the well-being or welfare of a child. For instance, if you are at the park, I know you go to the park there, you want to concentrate on your child, and that's a good thing, but be on the lookout too, because sometimes the park is very dangerous. Children get kidnapped at parks, even in front of their parents. These parents, who are just focused on their little cell phone, we're all on the cell phone. And when we do that, we tend not to pay attention. But so if you're around children, this is the year, this is the month for you to pay attention to what's going on around children and being protective. So having said that, welcome to the month of Nkporo, and welcome to all that is entailed. And I would like to welcome in charges. Dibias or Traja, you the on your hand. Welcome to
you guys here to everybody out there. And
so it is.
Mouth to Chineke. Or for you guys here.
Yes.
You say,
yes.
How's it going?
Okay. Yeah, is my image still blurry?
It's a little blurry, but it's better than it was when you were just the only one speaking. So once you brought me in, it seems to clear up. So as the program goes on, as the program goes on, maybe try not to zoom in to a particular person, and hopefully that will help with the data being transmitted through your lines and all that. But that's what I noticed.
I gotta tell you, I don't understand it. We switched to this so-called very good. This is a T-Mobile. It's supposed to be very, very good. They have the updated this, that, and the other, and for some reason I'm still having difficulty with it. So everyone, I do apologize if I seem blurry. I switched my internet server to T-Mobile. It's supposed to be better, but I don't know. Maybe I had to switch back to Comcast. I don't know. Because
you may need to if that's what's called for.
And I'm connected directly. So anyway, we're not going to talk about my internet challenges. So welcome to Dibias Traja. Thank you for being here as always.
My pleasure.
And I would like to now welcome Dibias Chiedozie. Welcome to the month.
Yeah, guys, here.
Just seeing you, we know Chineke is working with it.
All right.
Sure. We got to be optimistic. We will never be downcast.
Yes, that's true.
This is the month of Nkporo building. Did y'all hear that part? Did you hear that?
Sure.
Building. Nothing is impossible.
I'm really excited. I can't wait to go to Nigeria. When I come back, it's on. 2023 is going to be nailed solid as one of the best years that we've had in this organization, both organizationally and also as individuals. So whatever it is that you got to get rid of this year, whatever mindset, and that's what I'm talking about. Sometimes your house becomes cluttered and you have to take out some of the crap in your house so you could create space to bring in newer things, right? To have a space that you're more comfortable in because it's not cluttered. So get rid of all the clutter in your mind for 2022, because 2023, the sky is the limit. Here we come, Mr. Mountaintop.
Here we come. You say, what I say, and so it is. From your mouth to God's ears and into ours as well. And so it is. The universe heard. The universe heard, and we are going to keep it all. And now, of course, we got a system. Yes, that's right. That's right, UD. Dr. Simona, how are you?
Hey. Hello to everybody. Welcome today. Oh, very well.
I have to teach you a new word. I have to teach you a new word. When we say day, when you kedu, you say odema. Kedu. You say odema. Yeah. I say kedu, you say odema. How's it going?
Oh, okay.
That's when you say all is well. All is well. And
all
that
is well.
All is
yes.
So it is. And so it is. Ekele. Hey, listen, you know, before we go into discussion about the topic of the day, which is a continuation about respect by elders, I just want to share some of the news around the world. If anybody has anything they want to share that they've heard recently, that maybe we can make a few little comments and about before we venture into our discussion today. Hey, how about you, Dibia? Why don't we start with you?
Yeah.
Anything you heard? What's going on?
Yes, my main concern is this Kanye West, formerly known as Ye, was on a show called InfoWars, and he was interviewed. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, where he denied the Holocaust. He's talked about how much love he has for Adolf Hitler and Nazis while having the Bible right next to him, saying that the Holocaust didn't happen. And that just left me speechless. It's like saying that the Holocaust didn't happen, that the Germans didn't gas the Jews, even though we have the evidence, both on video and testimony. It's like saying that slavery never happened. There was never a Middle Passage. African Americans were never, Africans were never taken from Africa and brought to the Americas. It's like denying that. It's like denying that the United States didn't drop the atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They're just basic truths that are out there. And the funny thing is that it's not the first time that Ye has talked about stuff like this. And I think, even though we all say, oh, he's crazy and all that stuff, but we didn't hold him, responsible when he started behaving this way. Instead, what we said was, oh, he's a genius. He's smart. Really? What? He's more talented than Michael Jackson? He's more talented than Prince? He's more talented than Bob Marley or Fela Kuti? Exactly who is he more talented? And as far as hip hop is concerned, the greatest talent in hip hop, as far as I'm concerned, happened, I think it was in 1978. There's a band called the Sugar Hill Gang. When they came up with the Rapper's Delight, they actually brought rap music into the mainstream. So if you want to talk about some geniuses, there's a whole bunch of geniuses in the Black community that I could talk about, both scientists and literally artists, the Maya Angelos and all of that. Kanye West is nowhere near that stuff. Instead of us holding him responsible for his behavior, we talk about the fact that he's a genius. Now, this guy is on InfoWars. He lost $1.2 billion in 24 hours when he challenged Adidas to cancel him after he says that the Holocaust didn't happen. And then he looked at the camera and said, I dare Adidas to cancel me. What? Now what? Well, they canceled him. As soon as they heard that stuff, he was canceled. Kanye West is now going to end up in the toilet. And that's what's really depressing me, that this guy that has so much promise is now going to be alienated in every area of human endeavor. Even people of African ancestry don't want this guy around. Everybody has jumped ship on it, and they're still not making a concerted effort, and I mean us as a people, to get on TV, to be on the internet and talk about how mentally sick this guy is. The other side are not going to say he's sick. Everybody's calling him an anti-Semite. Everybody's calling him a Nazi lover. He has now been just, Lord have mercy. You don't understand what's going to be happening to this guy. And I think it is our responsibility to come out in the media and let this guy and let the world know that this guy does not represent us. This guy is sick. Something is wrong with him. He needs to be interred in some hospital or something.
Dibia, that's just it. I think you just hit it on the head. He's not well. He's off his medication. They're using him. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? You have to understand what the media does. Once something or someone, okay, can draw eyes to the site, okay, they're going to use it.
Yeah.
Because people are going to keep talking. People are going to keep talking about him. You see what I'm saying? So the news media, they know he's not well. They know he's not well. You don't have to.
Disclaimer.
He's not on his medication.
Kanye West does not represent black folks. And another thing I just want to mention is this is another result of this misinformation about blacks being Hebrews and blacks being Jews. You know, he's not the only one propagating this idea. You have the Hebrew Israelites, that black folks and all that stuff, sowing confusion on the internet. You have access to so much false information, and people that are just looking for something to lash onto to maybe expedite their own opinion of how they see the world will lash onto stupid misinformation. And next thing you know, just like you have in Nigeria, and this is not an African American issue. This is an issue with people of African ancestry all over the world. You have Igbo people who claim to be Jews now, and then they do everything. They talk about being marginalized. They talk about how the other tribes in Nigeria don't like Igbo people, and then for you to establish some sort of cultural identity, what do? You go to colonize somebody else's story to make it yours, just to make yourself feel good by justifying your worth by standards that are not of your own. And Kanye West is part of this school of thought. All these people are the people that are rallying around Kanye West, supporting the nonsense coming out of this guy's mouth, saying, yes, Kanye is saying what nobody is afraid, what other people are afraid to say. I'm not afraid to say that Jews were killed by Nazis. It's the truth. I'm not afraid to say that Europe enslaved Africans, the Portuguese, the Spaniards, and the British in the Indies. I'm not afraid to say that the United States dropped the atomic bomb on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. I'm not afraid to say that the Belgian president murdered 12 million Africans, the Belgian king. There are certain things that are just absolutes. You just have to deal with it instead of just for whatever reason to demonize the other side. You colonize somebody else's story just to justify your worth by standards that are not of your own. It's not okay for you to say, I'm African, I believe in my ancestral spirit, I believe in Chineke, I believe in everything that is primordial to me as an African. No, all of a sudden, an Igbo man is now a Jew. You have the Biafra movement, but it's anchored under the auspices of Judaism. No, I'm down with all the Biafra thing and one Nigeria. Whatever it is that makes life better for me in my country, I'm with it. But one thing I'm not going to do is sell my soul to somebody else's story just so they will like me, just so they'll think that I'm civilized. That's what's going on here.
It is. Yeah, well, the standards that have been set, the standards that are set are Eurocentrism, you see.
Yeah.
And many of us feel for us to belong, to seem like we have made it, we've got to be as close. Even if we have to be close to the foolishness, we'll try to outdo the foolishness.
Yeah.
Even when they say it's not right.
Africans.
When they say it's not right, then we say, it's right for us. Even though it's not right for them, they rejected it. Let me go to somebody else and see what's going on in their world. Dibias, what is it you're hearing out there? What's going on? You're in Nigeria. Anything we should know about that's going on in the news over there?
Well, what is going on here? It's the usual thing. We are not usually ourselves. We like to live in borrowed ropes, and then Because of that, we love selective thinking, selective truth, and the truth that favors us, and we like to tell it. And so down here, even though we know that some people have contributed in putting us in the situation that we are in right now, we still want to sell this sort of people as if they are marketable and they are the solution. Meanwhile, we do know that those who caused the problem cannot be the solution to the problem they caused. We need a different set of people with different mindset, fresh mindset, to solve the problem caused by others. And so this sort of thing is going on here. And then even those we are looking at as those who might have the solution, I would say what they will end up doing at the end of the day, when we look at our problem vis-a-vis their solution, will end up just window dressing, because our real problem is identity problem. And then we are talking about econometrics, talking about politics, and so
Dibia, are they addressing? Do you think that the politicians? I mean, the politicians, they're talking about all the everything that will make us more Eurocentric. You know, to look like America, to look like England, to look at. But I have my favorites. Yeah, but the one thing I don't see, I don't hear is how do we get the African people, the Nigerian people, to like being Nigerian? Not so that we can develop to be like everybody else. What specifically are they offering to make Nigerians think, hey, listen, you know, it's cool to be Nigerian, as opposed to, hey, we can have a flyover bridge, we can have all of that, you know? But what about the basic things? You know, talking about the news, you probably heard about this. The APC offered the people who, you know, where we had all these floods and all that, and there were 40 families that were giving 2 bags of rice. Now, collectively, or not individually, 2 bags of rice, 4 cans of water, whatever. Little thing. How can, I mean, oh my God, are we thinking? How can we eat off of that? Where's the mindset? How? Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. That's frustrating for me. That's
our mindset from inception of independence, with the exception of the fewest minds like Zik, who had a Pan-African idea, Nkrumah, Nyerere. The problem of Nigeria from onset is that the British deliberately planted mines that would divide us, so that instead of making our differences strength, we made it a point of weakness. And that has drained us. And from beginning, the Civil War allowed those with the mindset, narrow mindset of dragging us down, to have the power, the whole thing in their hands. So ideology died completely. And so since then, all leadership in Nigeria from Civil War time to date behave just like children. If you give a child a drum of water, it washes the stomach. If you give a child a jar of oil, it rubs everything on the stomach. And so everything is about stomach infrastructure. Even the politics we're talking about today, the remedy is about stomach, not about the mind. And so if we keep focusing on the stomach and we do not focus on the mind, we will not begin the race, not to talk about going in the direction to our destination. We will not begin the race. Not to talk about going the direction to our destination. So that is the problem now. And it may surprise you that more than 2 bags may have been given. Perhaps I am not holding brief for anybody, but I'm trying to tell you the corruption that is endemic here. It will surprise you that a bag or 2 may have been given for each family, and some people end up diverting what is meant for the hungry and poor who already have. They divert it, because what happens here is that even among the party agents, If they are given 5,000 to give for everybody they hired, they give 3,000 and peck 2,000. And if they are giving 3,000, they peck 1,000 or 2 and give 1,000 or 2. That's what happens.
Yes.
So everybody is exploiting everybody. For instance, now, passport, the international passport is a right of every citizen. But here, they deliberately delay it. And they say, if you want it fast to be out in a week, you pay 20,000 naira extra, 30,000 naira extra, just so you can imagine if, for instance, I want to renew the passport for my family and I want it fast, like a week, I will have to cover 100,000 naira extra or 180,000 naira.
Oh my God! Are you kidding me?
So,
are you for sure?
Yeah, and the same thing has happened with at the embassies. We have gone to corrupt the minds of other people, the ambassadors and high commissioners. Our people go to the embassies and high commissions and buy up the space for interview, so that before you can get a space for interview, you have to pay 100 to 150 to 250,000 naira extra, especially for those embassies of the US, Canada, and those ones in Europe.
Oh my God! Okay. So, thank you for sharing that.
So for me, we are at the bottom of it, and until there is a Armageddon, it must happen. When it gets to this level, the only thing that teaches the people a lesson is the saying of our people, "Ahun kantiano." All right. When the Armageddon happens, and those who have accumulated wealth have to deny their wealth, and that will create a kind of chance for revamping things, reordering things. But as it is now, what is happening, we are hoping that we get it right by at least the gleam of hope that we have in Obi, that we get it right by making sure that we put Obi there and begin to follow that path if there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. Anything outside that will be calamity.
Let us hope that Nigeria will make the right decision and select the best person. Everybody has the right to embrace whoever they think is the best candidate. For my part, I just hope that we all evaluate who the best candidate is and not just go because they are from members of our tribe or somebody that may have done us a favor in the past, all that. So thank you for sharing that. Now I'm going to Dr. Monet, and then we can go into the conversation for today. Dr. Ndewo, how are you? Tell us anything in the news? Anything we should know about?
I would before I begin, I would just like to first thank Chineke and the ancestors, and then all of you, my spiritual mother and fathers here, for your wisdom that you're bringing forth today. I just wanted to start with that. But in honoring the elders, because you guys are my elders also, I wanted to just honor you before I began speaking. And in honoring the elders, one disturbing thing that I heard recently is there's a 10-year-old boy that shot and killed his mother. And he shot and killed his mother because he wanted her to buy him something off of Amazon. And he also, and the fact, this is what the little boy said, and it was black people, black people that it was, a black mother, 44 years old, and her 10-year-old son. And the other reason why he said he shot his mother was because he said that she woke him up at 6 o'clock instead of 6:30. So that made him angry. And so he said,
he's 10 years old?
10 years old. They charged him as an adult. He's in prison right now in Wisconsin. And so he took, if you've seen how he looks, he's like just a little boy. He took his mother's gun. He I guess he went down the basement and he said he was going to shoot the gun at the wall to scare her. That's what he told the police. But he said she got in the way. And, you know, he shot her. He had no remorse. They said this little boy had no remorse. And as a matter of fact, he ordered, after he shot his mom, he ordered what he wanted on Amazon with her credit card. And when the grandmother came, he said, did my things arrive from Amazon? You know, and what? So I'm just wondering. Now, they did say that they were concerned about his mental health before, but she was unable to get any help. But I think part of this, even with him having mental health issues, part of it is, you know, where in our society we have gotten away of the importance of respecting our elders and how important that is.
And parenting.
You know, and the community, absolutely. So, you know, it's disturbing, and we're talking about honoring our elders, but with our society, that's so far removed from our society that even with him having mental issues, you know, maybe if we would have had in our society in place that you honor your elders, maybe she wouldn't have been a target. But he thought to target his own mother. And that was so disturbing to me.
Yeah. No understanding of authority. No line drawn. That is, you know, sometimes it's the society itself that, you know, these things are possible just because of the way society treats parents and treats discipline. To be very honest with you, you got children calling police. I remember this kid called the police. The kid is like 14 years old. Called the police for the mother.
Wow.
The police shows up and then asks what happened. The mother explained. The cop looks at the police and says, the kid, and says, "You called the police on your mother?" Mm-hmm. If I ever come down here, because the kid complained that the mother whooped her with a belt. The cop said, "If I have to come down here again, I will personally be the one pulling my belt out and whooping your behind."
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yes.
Now the kid understood, I can't use the police or the law to get what I want or to dictate how my parents discipline me. If my parents took, what the mother did was, the mother took the phone from the kid and she challenged the mother. So the mother pulled the belt and the kid calls the cops. The cops are like, "Really? Well, I tell you what, you call the cops one more time, we will show up. But then when I show up, I will personally whoop your behind. How dare you call the cops on your mother?" This is how the society should keep this undisciplined children, give more power to the parents. Just one more thing. Before this crazy, quote unquote, modern times, we all got a whooping from our parents. It didn't kill us. Children were paddled in school. It didn't kill them. There was no abuse going on because you got a little butt whooping from your parents when you got out of line. You have to set the boundaries. That little kid never really had boundaries set for him. And that's the result of it as far as I'm concerned.
That's it. I had the same experience. My little girl, youngest, was very little. She was playing with the phone, and I suppose she had seen something on television where you can dial 911 and the police will come. So I said something she didn't appreciate. So she went in the back and she called the police. The police showed up and I was shocked at why are they here? And well, she herself was petrified. She didn't know they would come. So they said that somebody called and told them that I was mean to her. So I said, "Oh my goodness, I was? Okay, well, y'all got to take her so she can go when they will be mean to her." Well, I gotta tell you. She said, no, she's not mean to me. I want to stay with my mommy. I said, no, baby. You got to go when they're not mean to you.
You got to go get some love somewhere else.
I knew that, when some children just don't understand the ramifications of their actions, and it is our responsibility to tell them, sometimes you have to do it in a way, that it will shock them without you whooping them. You know, there are times for that, but there are times that they just need to learn the hard way. Yeah, you made this decision, you call the police. Well, you know what the police do? They take people and they lock them up. So I guess you're going to have to go to where they'll lock you up and you'll find a more loving parent than I am. Okay, so needless to say, she never called the police again. You know, she learned her lesson. Well, anyway, thank you for sharing all those things going on in society. But let's go back to our conversation today, what we're supposed to be talking about. And you know, and I guess we've touched a little bit upon it. That is, you know, not disrespect towards their elders. We have to honor them. But there's so much disrespect. I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity. If you go to YouTube, take the time at some point, just sit down, grab a cup of coffee. Since we're talking about honoring the elders, go and check out what's going on in Asia. Okay. Asia, children are ruthless to elders. Okay. And there's so many reasons why they are ruthless to them, you know, why they don't respect their elders anymore. I'm not suggesting that all youngsters are doing that, behave that way. There are certainly many who come from environments that where you bow to your elders and all that sort of thing. But if you go to the internet and you type in Asian abuse of elders, they see their elders as useless. It used to be a point that they honored their elders, but now they see their elders as useless. And and the cruelty is because they have to be responsible for these elders. These elders are too much for them. They want to live their lives and, you know, travel places and what have you. And these elders are in the way. So they just beat them. I mean, go and see it. I couldn't believe it. I said, what is this? So they'll push them and make them crack their skulls. They'll, you know, certainly not all, you know, before some Asian people get upset with me. I'm not saying anything that's not true. Go to the internet and see it. You know, go to YouTube. So there are definitely some countries, communities that have lost respect for the elders to the point of seeing their elders as a cause for their own stagnation. So they kind of even want to get rid of them by abusing them so that they will die. So that is really very sad. So Dibia, you know, I really now this is my opinion. I don't know that you share it. I think that a lot of young people feel very entitled, you know, because parents tend to just give to their children what they want. And so if young people cannot get everything they want from elders, then they get bitter. What do you think are the repercussions of bringing in the spiritual development of our children that will make them undervalue the elders? What role are we playing? I mean, I think you touched upon it a little bit, but can you go into a little bit more detail? What is the role that we, the society and the family, is playing that causing these children not to have any spiritual attachment to their elders and devalue them? What are your thoughts?
Well, everything is about, you know, cause and effect. You know, we just didn't get here, you know, out of the blue. You know, it's not a bomb that just got dropped on and that's it. It evolved, you know.
Yes.
It's really the society's responsibility, right, to dictate or control how the society moves forward, what values they need to incorporate, right, in this upward mobility. Yes. And those values will include values that control the conduct of children, values that control the conduct of adults, and values that control the conduct of elders. You have societies where the elders, supposed elders, depending on who defines elder. You know, in the United States, you're not an elder till you're 65 years old. You know that. Unless you're 65, you're not an elder here. You're an older person, but you're not considered elderly. You're not considered an elder. That definition of an elderly person or an elder is totally different from the definition of an elder person in probably in Spain or in Africa. You know, so one definition doesn't fit all. It just depends on where you are. In Nigeria, you don't have to be 65, right? The role that people in this specific age group play in a community is what determines when you get to become an elder. You know, in Nkporo, if you get to the age of 45 years old, nobody expects you to be a warrior and go fight in the battlefield. You are not in the circle of elders. You guys are now the one that will sit with the Eze to dictate or to make rules and make decisions that govern the society. So that definition, elder, just depends on where it is you are. But to bring things in perspective, the children are a product of the specific ethics that govern behavior in a particular society. You know, when you have a society in the United States where the cockroach will insist that it has a right to marry an ant and will march up and down the street and will get somebody in Congress or elect somebody, put them in the Senate, or maybe we'll have a rat to run for presidency of the United States. And you're going to say, is the rat's right to represent all rodents?
The rat. The rat.
Well, I'm talking from an American context, right? That is it. I'll get to the Nigerian thing for a second. But in the American context, it is this overselling of what your rights are in this society. I'll give an example. There was a time that, I forgot what state it was, that was trying to mandate that children wear uniforms. It was a big deal. They were marching up and down. You're trying to stifle the creativity of the children. Meanwhile, these kids are coming to class in hot pants, in shorts that are so short. You can see their underwear. Boys are walking around with pants that are sagging. And the people that are supporting that behavior is not even the children. It is the adults that are out here talking about you are stifling the how you say, the creativity. You're not letting the children to express themselves. Exactly how do you think children will express themselves when you give them a chance to express themselves? They could be doing a whole lot of expressions that you're not going to appreciate because their brain is not as formed as yours is as an adult. So it is, in America, what you see with the youth, if they're not respecting the elders and everything, it's a societal issue. And the society is controlled by the so-called woke adults that create these areas of friction between those that are older and those that are younger, where it's all about the young people, nothing to do with the elderly people or the elders. It's all about thinking of the future without a consideration of where you've been, the past. Yes. And the stewards of the past are the elders. They are the ones that have the history. Yes. As a matter of fact, they are the ones that wrote the history that you're reading in the book. And if you're a young person and you did some research and wrote a book, the research is based on information that was supplied from elders, from people that chronicled events in the past. So there's no separation between where you've been, where you are, and where you're going. But what's happening in the society is they're more interested in where they're going without any consideration of anything that is relevant from the past. They look at the past as an impediment to the future, as opposed to looking at the past as a blueprint that allows you to get rid of things that worked in the past that are no longer relevant today or in the future. But there are certain things from the past that has always been relevant and will remain relevant till the world blows up. And the way in the United States is as if the past is icky, and decisions about the present is made from what's going on today to the future, as opposed to looking at how you got here first. Now, in Nigeria, the same elders are now the ones that are making sure that the young folks, particularly the young men, have nothing to offer to the young women so that they could get their greedy old paws on the young girls. So a young girl is not looking at a young man based on the criteria of the elderly that control the resources that would dictate where they go in the future.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for
that's what's going on in Nigeria. It is the elderly in Nigeria is dictating what goes on in the future by stymieing, curtailing the growth of the young people so they could have access to the young girls.
Okay,
that's why graduating from the university and can't even spell their own name. I was watching an interview. They asked this girl, when you graduate, what kind of degree will you have? She couldn't even tell. And then when told her you have a BSc, then I asked her, what is BSc? She couldn't tell you that it was Bachelor of Science. She didn't even know what it was. And she just matriculated into a college because she expects she's going to go in there for the most part, not all the time, but half the time they will sell themselves to the elders who is going to give them a grade and make him a college graduate, but they can't spell their name right.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, everything you said is just on point. Now I am going to ask the next question. And then what happens is if I ask you a question, answer your question, because we may find ourselves coming right back to have a further discussion, because other people may want to jump in and comment on what you've said. Now, the next question I have is for Dibia Chedozie. And Dibia, when you make your own presentation, when you answer your question, if there's anything that Dibia Yudi said that you want to maybe ask him question to expand some more, please feel free to do that. But you guys keep your responses so that I can get to ask as many questions, because there's so many questions I want to ask. Now, Dibia Chedozie, one of the things that, to be fair, is that I think Dibia Yudi just said it a little bit, and that is the fact that our children have forgotten who's responsible for what they have right now. They've forgotten their roots. They grow up in an environment where they are provided everything that they need, and not because they've earned it, just because they are the children. Okay, so they get everything that they need, and so they take everything for granted. But they don't take into consideration that it's those elderly people that they are ignoring, that they're insulting. They are the people who have suffered in the past to make it possible for them to enjoy what they have today. What are your thoughts about that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I think Dibia Ochoaja, you said a lot. And I just wanted to know that at the corner, we should look at the issue of the transvaluation of values. The transvaluation of values, the values that we used to know that are ours are dying out, and much of individualism is setting in. I think that is the bottom line of the point, or summary of the analysis by Dibia Ochoaja. Yes. And so I wanted to ask, don't you think that what is happening in Nigeria and all over the world, it's because we are allowing much of the encroachment of the spirit of capitalism that thrives on individualism, and the old extended notions of the extended system is dying out, and much of even the nuclear family idea is dying out, because today the nuclear is giving way for single parenthood, single mother, single father, and all that. And so we are, and society is talking more about technology and talking more about good things of life. So the focus has moved away from the human being to money. Everything is money, money, money. And so I would want you to expand more on that. But on my own side, I just want to remind us of this song by Soya Spence. I think I remember that particular song this morning, whereby she sang about her boy. She was singing as a kind of her personal experience, but I do not know if it was a personal experience for her. But it's like this: she's asked her son to go empty the dustbin, and the child is asking for $1. And she said to send the child to go pick something up for her in the kitchen, and the child is asking for another $1. And then she had to remind the child, said, look, for 9 months I carried you, keeping my wombs no charge. For the cost of your knowledge and the cost of, for the price of your knowledge and the cost of your college, no price charge. Now, so she went on. So this thing has been there, and it was sign that the culture of the human-centered world was dying out gradually for the culture of money, capitalism. And so, because one way, you see, I keep saying it, our ancestors and ancient societies focused attention on the human being. In traditional Igbo civilization, if you are rich, you are not rich for yourself. You are rich for the community. And your money means nothing. Yeah, your money means nothing if you do not endow the people around you, not by dashing them money, not by giving them fish, but establishing foundations that will enable them to fish. Because in Igbo culture, we do not believe in going to collect fish or give people fish, which is why they say we don't know Igbo we don't honor kings. We honor kings, but we don't honor kings that give us fish. That is why an Igbo man is quick to tell you, look, stop denigrating me or dishonoring me. After all, you are not feeding me. Meaning he can feed himself, she can feed herself. But that now is dying, and that's because our culture is dying away. So today we are imbibing the culture, trying to behave like those who would like to feed people, give them money, give them clothing, instead of the culture of making people to realize who they are and build a connect. You know, we have to connect and connect, deep connections and chains of connections. That is why our ancestors built the age grade system, the guild system, the family system. They were all interconnected. All were interconnected. So the age grade system start a child from when that child is like from that 8, 10, 12, you're already in the camp. You're already teaching you what children should know. And from thence, you begin to graduate into 8th grades until you enter the mortuary rites. So you discover that there were checks and balances, and the 8th grades and the group made you not to derail. All these foundations are dying away, and what is guiding what we think today isn't as adults, the internet.
Yes.
Our phone is there. We're always looking at our phone. So standards are dictated to us from the television, from the radio, on the internet. We want to explore, and our children want to behave like children abroad, so that even when your child that has not been to US, if you greet the child, good morning, say, yep, 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 hi, 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 yep, 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 hi. You might have any child of mine that does that in my house, I smack that child. I don't give you that food. I can beat my chest to that. My kids will wake up in the morning, and the first thing they come is, Daddy, Mommy, Nabolachi, Ututuoma, Ubochioma. That may be all that they can speak, but at least they can greet you. And they see you on the way, whether they know you or not, they pay you homage. They salute you. But I also tell them, when you greet people, don't be foolish. When the elder tells you to do what you are not supposed to do, just look at the elder and walk away. And so I teach my children, look, you have to struggle. I struggle to go to school. So we, the parents, the adults, like Dibias said, we are the cause. We shuffle our children. Yes. Look, like now, my children's school are on campus. My house to the last barn where she goes to school is just like say like 10 yards. As you see, parents who shuffle their children to school right here on campus. We want to write exams for them. Like when we started post-UTME, that is after JAM. You want to retry those who did JAM, because, and along the line, we discovered that one person can buy 10 forms in 10 states and have 10 results, takes the best. We saw parents coming to write for their children.
Wow.
Even here as teacher and as an administrator, you see parents coming to lobby for their children, lobby marks, lobby favor for their own children. So we are building a generation that have not experienced nothing. They have not gone through the meal. Everything is handed over to them.
And they don't appreciate. They don't appreciate you. They don't appreciate what you're doing for them because they expect it. It's not, hey, I'm just by virtue of being a child. We're doing it for them, and so they don't value it. Yeah.
That's it. So to round off, I remember there is this particular girl, I think her name is Benita. She came to me after 5 years of graduation, and she's having a very good job. And she saw me on the way. I was driving, my car broke down, and she stopped over. Of course, her car is bigger than mine, finer than mine. I'm still using a rickety car. Her company gave her a new car. And she came down, I see very beautiful girl, coming and said, kneeling down, said, good afternoon. I said, who are you? She said, don't you remember me? I did this, you did this to me, then I hated you. But now you are my best. I said, how? I said, oh, it is that thing you taught me when I was doing my project. You told me to go and handwrite it. I thought you were wicked. You crossed every T. You dotted every I. I was cussing. My mates had finished, but you insisted that this project, I must do it the way that it is right. That do I know that when she went for interview, that project was her savior. All the questions asked, she answered just at the tip of her finger, and for that she was made a manager. You know, so
wonderful.
So if we let down the standard, we the elders are the one letting down the standard because we want to belong, and because things are hard, especially in this part of the world, things are difficult. So I want to be nice to the kids, especially in the private universities where the students grade the teacher. So you want to be nice to the students so that they can give you good marks. And you want to be nice to the parents so that you can get largesse from them.
Yes.
And so once we lower that standard, and then we end up building a generation that has no focus, no culture, nothing. And coupled with this is the internet, is the television. They're exposed to the world, other cultural influences. And so with that, you are going to have this mayhem we have right in front of us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Good points. Good points. Now, I have a question for Dr. Monet. Dr. Monet, you know what? I personally, I think that many of our children have gotten so used, just like Dibia Chiedozie and Dibia Yudi said, they're so used to, you know, us doing for them, they don't want to do for us. They expect us, the elders, to help them, but they don't understand it. Really, as the elder becomes elder, it should be the other way around. You should be helping the elders. They spend their youth taking care of you. Now, as they're older, you should, you know, you should be interested. Have they eaten? Well, what would you like? Do you need some? Do you need me to get you something? Why do you think our young people just so demanding of the elders, but they're not willing to do for the elders? Would you agree with my statement?
Yes, I do agree. I do absolutely agree with it, and I think society has changed. I think it's, you know, our whole society with the internet, and you know, it's such a blessing that we do have the internet. We're more connected to the world and things like that. But I think two things has happened in the household, and I'll say that, you know, I did the same thing. I look at my 21-year-old, and I feel as if I kind of sheltered her more than I should, because I saw so much. I had access to so much information and all the things that could happen there in the world, and that creates more dependency. And, you know, I talk to other friends and things like that, and we have spoken about this. And me as a child, you know, and how I raised my child, you know, I was more cautious because I was seeing so much, instead of just seeing the local news, or, you know, I'm seeing what's happening around the world, or what's happening outside of my state or outside of my city, which caused me to feel like I had to be more protected. I even look at my younger children. Now the school is literally a 5-minute walk away. And I'm looking at it as, when I was their age, I had to walk to school, but none of the parents were walking with their children to school. They sent their children to school, and they didn't think, okay, something's going to happen to my child in that distance. But with us, all of the parents walk their children to school, and it's all, everyone is more cautious. And I think having that kind of sheltering our children has caused them to cling on and be more dependent. But what my goal is now is to try to, with my younger children, is just to try to make sure that they're more dependent, even if I have them to start walking to school, but I'm a distance behind them, watching and seeing what they're doing, but just teaching them that they, for them to be more independent, so they're not depending on me. But I think our society, it's become all of the we've become a very fear-based parenting structure. We have a fear-based parenting structure now. And so that is one thing that I think contributes to that. And then it just dominoes, and then just like Uncle Chiadozi, Dibia Chiadozi, and Uncle Dibia Beauty was saying, also, it's like, other cultures, the children are exposed to other ways that children are doing things and disrespecting their elders, and that also has an influence. So in my opinion, we have to take our children away from media and start thinking of some of the ways that we were raised and how we learned independence and how we learned respect. I know one way that I learned to respect my elders is my mother. When I went over my grandmother's house, her mother's house, I had to clean the whole house. She taught me to clean my grandmother's house. If it was already clean, I would do extra cleaning. So I would, clean the floors on my hands and knees. I would, do things, ask her what she needs as far as assisting her. And I was taught that's what you do. So what did I do when I was an adult? If I went over my grandmother's house, I was, helping her. I would say, well, do you need assistance with this or that? Do you want me to clean? Do you want me to dust? What do you want? What do you want me to do? But, we've gotten away from that. So that's what I think has to do, it's a societal issue.
Yeah, you're so right, because I've had the opportunity to visit a friend's house, and the children are in Washington, and they eat popcorn everywhere. Mom's going behind picking up. She's got the broom, she's sweeping. Boy, you better pick that stuff up. Nah, you sweeping. You might as well do it. No respect. You know what I'm saying? No, not I know mother had to do anything. Well, of course we have just to do it.
It's breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, she's we're
having a can you hear me? We're having a little.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
We can hear you now, but you were breaking up for a little while. She's frozen again. She's frozen. But while she's frozen, so that the show continues, let me talk about some of the things that Dibia Chidos here talked about, succinctly, if I may add, right to the point. This issue, there's several ways of looking at it. And to me, one of the most important things to understand is the fact that parents are governed by societal rules, right? The society doesn't have one set of rules, and then the parents have a different set of rules. It doesn't work that way. In your village, your parents just can't do what the heck they want to and forget about the overall societal norm or the way the society handles certain situations that these parents are faced with. So the parents are a product of societal laws, and they carry those out within the family. There's no independence there. They are married together. Then secondly, even in the Orient, you know, China, Japan, or wherever it is that Dibia Owa was talking about. See, in the old days, what was important was to train your offspring to be able to survive on their own, right? Beyond farming, what you had was war. So you had two options. Either you learn to be a warrior, or you learn farming and everything else that is needed within the society to keep it cohesive and functioning. So maybe in the society, you might go into medicine. Because beyond medical practice, you're a farmer. Now, you could be a farmer where you grow crops. You could be a farmer where you rear animals. You could be a farmer where you fish. To be a landowner, you have to be in politics. You inherit land, and because of this inheritance process, you're involved in politics, right? You become a land baron. That's the very first manifestation of capitalism, where the barons own the land, business is in the hands of a few people. The biggest economic instrument was land, but everything depended on it. It was land. So once you own the land, you almost politically inclined. Then you have the serfs that work on the land, that depend on the land baron for their sustenance. Just like in capitalism, the companies own the business that generate the income, and you as an employee depend on them for your sustenance. That's the first manifestation of it. So back in those days, you either were in the military or you were a farmer, and you were trained either way. There were no options. You didn't say, you know what, I want to be a socialist, or I want to work in a psychiatric institution. You didn't have any options. Those were just the two options that you had. Same thing in Africa. You're either a warrior, you go into the traditional medicine, or you're a farmer. That's it. There were no other occupational functions, so you're prepared through what we call ipuebala, through rites of passage. And it is through these rites of passage that you're trained to fit squarely into a society, understand what the function, your place is in a society, and how you need to contribute to the upward mobility of that society. The Jews have the same age group system. In their own way, it is called the bar mitzvah. When you get to be the age of 12, in Africa, it's also the age of 12 where you leave your parents' house and you go out and you're gone for 7 years. Ipuebala. In ancient times, you were removed from your parents and you're there till you became a man and learn the trade. And when you come out, you're married off to a woman is married off to you, and land is automatically given to you for you to plow. Land was economic. How big a land that you end up having to own and maintain depended on how many people you had in your family. So having more than one wife to have a whole lot of kids was not because she loved to have many women. It was economic in nature.
Okay, I'm back. Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you hear me? Yeah. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure you can hear me. Mm-hmm. Thank you for holding it up and continue the conversation. But I have a question for you that you need to answer.
Hold on a second. Can I finish up? I was answering his question.
Oh, he asked you a question. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he asked me a question. I was trying to finish up. So the point, to make a long story short, that you can get to your question is, parenting. Parents are products of the society. It's the society norms that determines your general behavior and how you raise your kids. If doing one thing is wrong in the society, you as a parent can't do it in your household and expect that it's going to be acceptable. You understand? So in the old days, the rites of passage in many cultures was a way of indoctrinating children so that they fit squarely into a society. Such practices, except in the Jewish community, is lacking. The global Jewish community, you must go through bar mitzvah. There's a level of indoctrination, and in the Jewish family, it is this level of indoctrination that makes sure that the elderly have a level of respect that does not exist outside the Jewish society. So for us, African culture must be paramount before capitalism and social, whatever else you have out there. There has to be a way of indoctrinating children into a set way of behaving for the greater good of the community. And because of modernization, because of a bastardized economic modernity, because of borrowing things that are foreign, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because of getting rid of things that are actually beneficial to us culturally, politically, and economically, just to be seen by Europeans as being Europeanized and being civilized, we have gotten rid of some of these societal norms that were practiced in the society, in the family, using those norms to raise children so that they have more or better respect and appreciation for their elders. Those societal norms are gone. And until we go back and look at our own primordial core, the way we behave and raise children before so-called modernization, we're in trouble.
Okay, thank you so much. I think you pretty much answered the question that I have for you. So I'm going to go to Dibias.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
Oh, no. You answered the question. That's good. Dibias, you know, one of the things I noticed about our young people, not all of them, because I think it's important that we understand there are some good kids out here who understand, they know the assignment and they follow it. But there are lots of young people who always seem to be so, like they hate everything and everyone. You see it on the face, they're angry all the time. And sometimes you as an elder, you don't even know how to approach them because they seem like they're about to snap. I've had the opportunity to go the young person at the counter and, you know, they have this look on their face like you don't even want to ask them a question, you know, just say, here, pay. Give me my stuff so I can go because it seems so angry. Why do you think so many of these young people have so much hate? Chidozie, this is for you.
Yeah, you see, the truth of the matter is that we have individual personalities, and individual will most likely and most of the time behave according to the inherent intrinsic abilities inside the individual. And that is why in anthropology, in psychology, in philosophy of sociology and so forth, we make distinction between human being and person. Being a human being is that you have all the qualities to make you a person. Being a person is that you have developed those qualities in tandem with cultural, societal values. And so that is why culture is paramount. And the custodians of culture must be protected. Because if we do not protect the custodians of culture, then what we're going to have in our hand is a dysfunction of culture, which is why the Igbo will say, Arubafo, or Menal. If you allow anything abnormal to fester for just a year, even not a year, it becomes culture. Now, the problem is that we have allowed a transvaluation of values because the whole essence of elder culture is to make people to become persons. And every culture has what it takes to make a human being a person. Apart from having your individual qualities to excel, like the Yorubas will say, Omoluabi, meaning a good person of culture, civilized, educated, because that's what education means, cultured individual, enlightened individual, who live by the norms of the culture of the people. Now, this takes me to a little bit of analysis of what Dibias said. Yes, I do know that social norms dictate how we behave, including parents. But where there is no social norms and there is a degradation of culture, it behooves on the individual parent to build a culture for its own family. I give example of my father. I grew up in barracks. We grew up in barracks where a lot of things ill happened. In fact, I don't want to go into details, but one thing that my father is known for is no nonsense man. In fact, if you are coming to our house, parents warn their children, beware of Okoro's household, is a no nonsense man. If he beats you, I don't have the energy to fight him, because my father has his numbs. He had his numbs, and he told us he will not yield any one of it. If you mess up, he will tie you up and beat you. He will beat you to pulp until he will beat senses into you. And if you keep his rules, you are his best friend. You will become someone who eats with him. You know, so he had it any way you want it, he gave it to you. If you want it rough, he gives it to you rough, hard. And if you behave, you show that you are cultured. You'll be surprised that the same man can sit with you, dialogue with you, advise you, and when he sees that you are taking to advice, he gives you more responsibilities. That's how he builds the family. In fact, it got to a point, girls in barracks that we lived, any barracks that we lived, gathered to sort of harass my mom, our mom. Why? Because they said we were behaving too aloof, as if we are not members of the barracks. We are not looking at any girl, because the orientation our father gave us in barracks is that you must look to the star and be like the star. Do not allow even yourself to distract you. And that discipline had carried every one of us, male and female. We have excelled. Where others at the age of 15 are pregnant, girls are pregnant, age of 12, 15, 16, they are pregnant. Our girls only get pregnant when they marry. Where some boys have impregnated girls, some have impregnated 2, 3 girls, we only impregnate those we have married who are our wives. Now, that's because my father insisted that his norm must be the paramount in his house. Outside his house, you can speak pidgin English, speak English. In his house, speak Igbo. If you speak any other language other than Igbo, he will beat you to pulp. The punishment is so severe that you will not dare. You know, he created his own norm. Meanwhile, other parents was like, no, it's the norm. Allow the children to be. He said, no, it is not like that for my own children. But when my own boy was growing up and he wanted to misbehave, I was trying to educate him. He was being heady. His mother would speak to him, would speak back to his mom. I was watching him, because I was looking at him as small. When he was like 12, and one day I decided to flog the hell out of him. It was he and I in the room. I shut the mom up out of the room in our master bedroom, and I said, look, giddy, you are strong, right? He jumped all over the place, ran over the bed. I threw the bed with one hand, flogged the head. I said, say it with your mouth. I will be useful. He's knelt down after struggling. He said, I will be useful, Father. I have been useful. I submit. From that day onward, he has never misbehaved again. And so, but the problem is that in a society like the Western society, where the government says it owns the child, and the child can call the police and the parents. But when the child misbehaves, you call the same parents that you have denied the right to parent that child. You still call the parent to hold the parent responsible. The parent will have to be very careful. I did what I did. My father did what he did, because down here, there is still the culture of parents disciplining children. Even outside, I do know I've called some children to order, and they listen. And when they call their mom or parent, they say, oh, who is that? I say, so person. Say, oh, leave him. It doesn't mean bad. So I think there's still little of that sense. But you have to be a parent they know you are upright. If they know you are wayward with children and you talk to their children, everybody begins to cut their eyelid. But once they know your orientation, that you mean well, in this part of the world, they still like it when you speak to children or whip them to order. So to wrap it up, now there's this story of a child who had been unruly, I think from England. So the father kept quiet. In fact, it was so bad that the mother and the children called police on their father. So the man kept quiet. What he did was he kept quiet, stomached everything for like 5 years, strictly took their passports, deceived them they were coming to Nigeria for holiday. When they got to Nigeria, I said, no more UK for you. And right from the plane, even before they alighted in Nigeria, and one of the children wanted to be saved, all the Nigerians that whipped a child to order. That is not our culture. So we are still lucky in this part of the world that parents are still in charge. But that parent must be disciplined. To instill discipline, you must lead by example. You can't say one thing and do another thing. Then nobody follows you. But
yeah, here's a question, though. The question I did, I thank you. Everything that you said is very important. But the question I had asked, why do the children appear to be angry all the time? Now, somebody did say something. You can comment on this. And all three of you can comment on this. Dibia Chaidozie, you comment first, then UD, and then Dibia Simona. This was from Akachi, which sort of answers the question to some degree. There's a level of anger and contempt because the youth must turn to the oppressors of their people for survival. Okay, there's a lack of respect because youth know that our people do not see power, they see assimilation.
Yes.
Do you understand? Because the question I had asked was, why is children seem to be angry all the time? Okay, there's a reason why they're angry. And this is her explanation. Chiadozie, yours, and then Dibia Yudi, and then Dibia Monet.
Yeah, there's the angle. That angle is true, but we also have to educate our children that what we need to do is to rally around our spirituality and build a project that our children will graduate into and children will graduate into. It's not something that we can deal with as single families. No, it's something which right now we are addressing, which is why Dibia Ochoaja and Dibia, you have held onto Chiism, building institutions that will begin to educate people. And so our plight is heavy. I do know that. But the way to go about it is to build a long-term generational program that children, just like the Jews have done and other established people have done, so that our children, and tell our children they must not deviate from it. And they must keep it sacrosanct. Because the bottom line of all of these is that our spirituality has been sidelined. We must keep talking about spirituality, and we must use institutions that will make our spirituality to come to stay. The nucleus may be small, but when we keep building it up from generation to generation, we will sustain it and the number will grow. That aspect is there too, but there's also the aspect of children who naturally like to be angry. They naturally, like the sanguine by nature, is an angry person. Because you have the phlegmatic, you have the melancholic, you have the sanguine, and one other one I can't remember. Psychologically, there are people who cannot tolerate oppression for long, so they burst out. There are people who little things can easily anger. So we need to work on their nature. Meanwhile, because one situation leads to different reaction according to the psychological state of the individual, the phlegmatic child will rather reflect on it, be cunning on how to handle the situation. The sanguine may burst out and in the process do some other things that may make he or she lose his life or her life, or do like that child who shot the mother. That's the sanguine nature. All right. A phlegmatic may likely reflect on what the mother has said and say, why did mother deny me credit card. But mom, do you really hate me? I said, no, I don't hate you. I love you. This one, oh, you are doing it so I could be responsible. That's what a phlegmatic child would do. So, oh, okay, mom, I understand you. I'm not going to ask for that kind of a thing. But a sanguine child will be stubborn. Until they get what they want, they will not budge. Such children require extra attention. So, in addition to talking about the social condition, we should also look at the individual psychological constitution. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. You want to address that?
Yeah. Bombshell for all the parents out there watching this that have not, at some point in their life, understood that the Sunday sermon, I repeat, the Sunday sermon is the greatest tragedy that we have in our African American, our global African communities. Addressing the anger that the youth have stems, this is my opinion, and a part of it is also what Dibias had talked about, which is the angry nature of youth. We used to be young ourselves, right? And we had a lot of things that we got upset about, whether it was valued or not. But it was almost just part of growing up, part of trying to decipher the world and understand how the world works and understand how what you're being taught fits into the world. Understanding that nature of youth, which deals with the growth process, both physical change and also mental awareness. The youth start to look at their parents as people that are, like Akachi had said, that are more interested in assimilation. I mean, you wake up in the morning, your parents, they talk to you about Jesus Christ or Muhammad, whatever it is that your foreign religion allegiance is. They talk to you about it. Then you go to school. They sing the song, Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible told me so, and all the jargon and all the stories that they tell you. Then on Sunday, you get the same thing. Jesus loves me, this I know, your preacher tells you and all that stuff. Meanwhile, the preacher's probably got an eye on your sister, your mother, your brother, or whoever. All your money is going to the church. You're not doing anything to help the poor. The preacher is getting rich and all that stuff. This youth, the kids, they're seeing that. What you're teaching them that the Bible said and what the preacher is saying is not gelling with their current condition in the world today, particularly people of African ancestry. They start to question whether the question is right or wrong. If Jesus existed, why did Jesus allow slavery? If Jesus existed, why this, why that? Why were the Jews gassed if God was here? Blah, 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 blah. They look at what's going on in the world and they try to see the world from what they're being taught in church about religion, about being subservient to your colonizer and to your enslaver. Jesus is the only way, blah, 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 blah. They start to figure out that what you're teaching is a con game because the real world does not accommodate that kind of sanctity of behavior. They get angry. What you teach in church, they don't see it in the media. Then they are exposed to all kinds of information to discredit what you're telling them on Sunday in church, what their parents are telling them at home, what they're being taught in school. They're now seeing information that is now available because of modernization and technology that otherwise they never would have gotten to see. They can no longer believe what you're teaching them at home. They can no longer believe what you're teaching them in church, what you're teaching them in school, because the real world and the real information and the forbidden fruit is out there. They're tasting it now.
And if when you think about it, if you want to add this little caveat there, that is that in some cases these young people are angry with us for
exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you
they're
want
angry because what the so-called elders are teaching them is not gelling. Now they're angry. Yeah. Now they can't They don't see the elders as the custodian of this information or the custodian of this thought process that is supposed to give them a sense of pride of who they are, where they fit into this world, to help them to figure out where they're going, what the world is teaching them, what the elders are showing, the custodians of the culture, of knowledge that are supposed to direct their lives into this utopian future.
Yes.
Does not gel with reality.
It doesn't make sense.
And that's just the way it goes. And you cannot blame them. And until we, as the adults, take our responsibility seriously, stop being mind you know what, brain dead, stop being afraid to question stuff until we start to show the youth the greatness of the past that was built into us as the elders, that we're going to transmit to the younger generation so that their future can become brighter, so they can have a sense of pride. Most people of African ancestry, I'm sorry to say, most youths, Mekas and Ukuna, chukwu, these people that were able to ask some questions to bring them to Chiism Live, for them to hear from their elders the kind of information that they needed to hear from the time that they were kids. Parents.
Yes. Now let me ask you, Doctor. Thank you, Yudi. Dr. Monet, can you give your take? Ask all of you to kind of summarize. You summarize what all that you've said today. Dibia Chedoze, you summarize all you said today, and Dibia Monet, you summarize everything you've said today. And thank you so much, Yudi. That's really powerful. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'll say what I'll summarize, and what I'll say is some of the things that I went over was talking about, just like with the incident of the young boy murdering his own mother. And also when we're dealing with youth and what is going on in the family and media is, we're highly influenced by what's going on with media and, being so connected to the world and how that is affecting all of us. In addition, I would also say from an African American perspective, because a lot of people do not know about African tradition, but I know that the only thing that my family knew about was Christianity. They never, they never heard of any traditions in Africa as far as what it came to in religion. But the one thing that made them successful in our family, and we have many successful people in our family, and one thing that made them successful and one thing that they stood by was discipline. So discipline, I believe, is one of the, not just discipline, when it comes to children, but also discipline, seeing the discipline of adults, the children seeing the discipline, because on both sides of my family, my mother and father, discipline was very important. There was boundaries that you did not cross. When you went into my grandmother's house, you took off your shoes. You did not you did not play around in the living room. There was structures that were in place to put you in place. And then the importance of hard work and being able to have core values, have integrity for yourself. Basic core values that a lot of us are not teaching our children now. Be authentic, be in transparency. Authenticity and transparency is very important. And at least I can tell my children and all that I know, and I'll say my ancestors, and even my father, I respect my father and my mother for saying to me what I didn't know. So certain things that they may have become aware of, they may say, well, I didn't know. I apologize for not teaching you this because I did not have this information. I did not know this information. And that's the same that I do. If I was ignorant to something, I will teach my children that. But doing the best that we can to be, I think, just core values, high morals, integrity, authenticity, transparency is very important. And I think if we can go in that direction, and hard work, we'll add hard work to that, and go in that direction and take our children in that direction, I think we'll be, and respect, I'll add respect to that. We will lead our children and the next generation in the right direction.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yudi, you want to summarize your thoughts today? Unmute yourself. Yudi, unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry about that. Background noise, so I didn't want it to filter into the program. No, I'm saying, you know, Africans all over the world, the global African communities have had, particularly those diaspora African communities, you know, have a different set of experiences outside of Africa. And one of that was the forced indoctrination of enslaved Africans abroad, yes, you know, to toe the line of the enslaver, change their name, do everything possible to destroy their African roots, yes, right? And it just takes, what, a couple of generations for you to lose everything. Some things will survive, but the core of a lot of things that you really need to continue this upward trajectory is lost. Concept of God, religion, the religion of your enslaver becomes your religion, because that is the only way that you're going to validate your own existence or survival, for that matter. You change your name. They don't want to spend the time calling you your African name, so you have to change your name to a European name so that it's easier for them. They have to make their communication and their interaction with you easy for them. And to do that, they have to destroy pretty much everything that is you, your culture, your religion, everything that is you, so that you now justify your worth by their own standards. So a lot of the anger that you see the youths face here in America is different from the kind of anger that you see youths facing in Nigeria. In Nigeria, is almost one of economic deprivation, where the elders whose minds are corrupted, who fit in with this European construct, withhold resources to marginalize the younger people so that the younger people serve them, just like the serfs and the barons, and then they have access. And I say it, and I don't care what anybody thinks. The elderly men in Nigeria have almost one objective, and we pray that Peter Obi gets into government, and I'm saying it unequivocally, I'm a supporter. They want access to the young girls. And this pretty much destroys the family unit in Nigeria, where the young men have no access to this eligible women that they want to marry. But anyway, here in the United States, it's a totally different thing altogether. The kids are angry because of what happened to their African, ancestors that came here in America. And now it's almost like you're living a life of fakery, a life that is not authentic. Your belief system is not authentic. Your belief system does not represent you. And because of modernization, because of the internet, because of the fact that you now have information today for these youth that doesn't gel with what their parents were taught, it creates an angry mindset for these youths. And you can't really blame their parents much, because their parents went through hell just to survive enough so that the current generation can exist. But we're here now. And what we need to do is stress an indoctrination process in an educational system that gives us an even playing field for all people of African ancestry to be indoctrinated into specific African cultures that share commonalities in all global African communities, so that we could bring our community together, give them a sense of self, and chart a better cause of self-awareness for this generation and the next.
Thank you. Wonderful. Ashe, yes. Wonderful. Yes, Dr. Monet.
Yeah, I just wanted to just make it clear what my comment was as far as the discipline goes, because I know Akachi was saying, discipline is necessary, but over-discipline is a tactic by many to keep you focusing on the main point, which Dibia Uchodi states, you've looked to everyone they think embodies cultural pride and power. And that's why this is one of the reasons why I'm on this show, because I'm the only person in my family that understands African culture, and I'm teaching it to them as much as that they can understand. But in growing up, and I think my parents did a good job, and growing up, they had no idea, and they still have very little idea of African culture, because that has been lost in many generations in my family. And so what I'm saying is, if you don't have that, we don't have that, then we have to, the core values, we have to focus on core values. But if we do, of course, if you have that wisdom and you're not using it, that's another thing. But that is why I wanted to respond to that, because I'm not saying that cultural pride and teaching about culture, but you can't teach about something that you don't know. So for me, I'm breaking the cycle, or just learning, about African tradition. And I'm sharing that, and that's why I'm here, is being able to share that with other African people in America, in the diaspora. There's so many people that have never even heard of, the gods of our ancestors, Chineke, Oludumare, all of that. I didn't hear about that until I was an adult, so this is why I'm here, and, and respectfully just saying, I have to, still give respect to my parents, because I think they did a good job with the knowledge that they had at that time. But I also think, that we do have to connect to our African culture, and that is why I'm here on this platform and taking another route.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah. Excellent. All right. You want to do your quick summary, so I can do mine?
Yeah, talking about youth anger, I look at what is happening down here in Nigeria, down on the southeast, and then here in the southwest. In the southeast, there is a gap between the elders, quote and unquote, those not the traditional elders, those elders that have derailed from being elders, and the youth, which has led to what you call the IPOB agitation. And one of the accusations against IPOB is that they do not respect elders, because they call the Ohaneze Ndoshi, Ndoama. And the principal reason is that they see the Ohaneze as sellout to the central government, and so much so that whatever they discuss on the way forward, the southeast and so on and so forth, ends up at the center with the central government. So the youth don't trust the so-called elders, but they have the elders they trust. Now, here in the southwest, what has happened is that a large crop of the elders direct the youth, because when they started the agitation here about OPC and all of that here, the same thing you had, a similar thing you had in the southeast, the elders gathered themselves. They now told the youth how to go about it step by step, and shielded them, gave them protection. So the youths are like the open wire, ready to spark anytime. What the elders do is to be the kind of what do you call it? Shield, protection, to make so that the charge or the spark will be ignited at the right time. You control it, you tamper it. Now, the only reason and why we can do that is we institute a nucleus of African spirituality, whereby we initiate a process, a trajectory, where African children will begin to grow from when they are right in the womb to when they go to their mature rights, they grow on the African spirituality, the trajectory. That will be the way of tampering our youth, because Why I say this is that if we do not control the anger of the youths, then we run the risk of wasting them, because the world is ready to waste them. We saw what happened in 2020 yes. at the toll gate, Lekki toll gate. Yes. The elders that have lost it, the elders that are hungry for power, hungry for money, hungry for everything, they are ready to waste the youth, whether here in Nigeria or anywhere in the world, especially the African youth. We need to protect them. And the few of us who think we're in the right path, we need to protect them by giving them the right orientation to calm their anger and rather build a system of subtle generational revolution that will crystallize over time. That's what we need to do.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to add this before I forget it. There's two young men who have started a university in Nigeria. It's supposed to be a high-tech university. They saw what the elders are not doing, and they've decided to create a university themselves. And it's getting a lot of notoriety. And I got a call. Well, actually, I got a text indicating that this university wishes to work with Chiis University. Ha! 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 Yeah, that's okay. So I'm quite excited about that.
It takes effort like this. Things to happen.
They're developing in Nigeria, and have an opportunity to speak with because it's something that's important. If the elders do the right thing, the young people will follow through.
Yes.
I just wanted to see this. It's imperative that young people understand certain things as well. Don't look down on elders just because, you have achieved. Quite frankly, many young people achieve because of the effort of the elders. So you don't look down on your elders. If the elders are not doing the right thing, and you have the right to speak up and tell them that this is not the direction you want to go, but it shouldn't come with disrespect. It shouldn't be disrespect. That the elders, some of them are doing what they were taught and have not left that. That maybe that back then, but it's not working for you now. But don't look down upon them because you've achieved something that perhaps they have not achieved. And the other thing I would say to young people, not all elders know technology. It's okay that they don't know. If you know technology, teach them. Don't laugh at them. Don't make them feel miserable. Don't make them even resist learning because you're going to look down on them. I got to be honest myself. There are certain things I don't know, and I don't want to ask anybody to help me because sometimes there's that, it's subtle, but you pick up on it like, oh, you don't know. Well, get somebody else to help you. Get somebody else. Hey, I'm not stupid. I got a mind. Just let me know what I don't know. I can learn. So I start to teach myself. So it's important that young people understand, even though the technology that you have may be cool, and that's not what many of us grew up with. So if the fact that the elders don't know it doesn't mean they're stupid. They just need to learn it. And if you have the capacity to teach it, and do so with love in your heart and respect and dignity. There's nothing cool, my dear brother, my young brothers and sisters, to disrespect the elderly. As a matter of fact, what's cool is you're cool if you don't disrespect your elders. If you show others how to be respectful. And I suppose for me, it's imperative to understand, many years ago, I was young. Many years ago, I was not an elder. I'm an elder now. All right? So some things that I thought about elders, I'm experiencing now. As long as you continue to live and breathe, you will get here too. You will become an elder someday. But for the elders, this is the story. This is my comment for my elders. For the elders, you don't have all the answers. Don't pretend that you do. Sometimes you have to let the young share what they know. And that means respect goes both ways. It's earned. If you want to earn a younger person's respect, respect them. And if you want to earn the elders' respect, respect them. Don't condone with your friends or whomsoever, don't condone disrespect of your elders. Always be the one that steps up and says, okay, this is not our culture. Because indeed, it is not our culture to disrespect our elders. And we must begin the process of relearning what is important as people. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember to go to Chiism, African Spirituality Chiism Live on YouTube and subscribe. If you have not subscribed today, why not? Because once you subscribe, you're able to know exactly when we are coming on air, so you'll be able to join us. So I want to thank all of you who joined us wherever you did, on YouTube, on Facebook page. Thank you for all your wonderful comments. We appreciate you. When you make these comments, that means you're paying attention and you give us an opportunity to speak. Listen, Chiism is going to be, we're not going to have any more Chiism shows until January because the bulk of us are traveling. And so we're not going to be around to do those shows. But, please feel free to go back and see some of the things that we've done already, some of the discussions that we've had, and take what you will and what you cannot, just don't bother. But until we see you again, wish us well on our travels. And we're like birds. We're not going to hit heads on the tree. We're going to go in peace, and we're going to return in peace because we want to see all of you. Some of you we're going to have an opportunity to see in Nigeria. So until we see you again, please take care of yourselves and don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't listen to the lie.
All right.
All right. Okay. Let's go and say bury our dear mother, and she's going to rest in peace after we do the rightful. Bye-bye.